Hey everybody, welcome back to Miles and Mentors. One thing we love to do on this show is to tap into the journey of making it into this industry and growing. We have an excellent guest with us today that's going to walk us through his journey becoming successful in trucking and ask him all about how he did it, how he got where he's at today, and tap into that lived and learned knowledge to pass it on to you. So stick with us right after this on Miles and Mentors.
Welcome to Miles and Mentors, the podcast that humanizes trucking, getting real-life advice and insights from logistics professionals from all over the industry. We sit down with those seasoned mentors who have put in the miles with a mission to pass on the knowledge gained from years in the industry to you. Now buckle up and enjoy the show.
Hey, Larry, thank you so much for being here today.
My pleasure.
Man, so I'm up here in the Kansas City area, kind of in that time of year where I'm not used to it yet, so I feel like I'm freezing to death more than I am. Where are you at again?
I'm in Wellington, Florida, which is just west of West Palm Beach.
Rub it in, my friend. Rub
been
it
a lot
in.
in the news lately because that's where President Trump lives, in Mar-a-Lago, which is in West Palm Beach. So it's I actually play golf, not on his course, but right next to his course.
Oh, very cool.
So,
very cool.
You know, it's been a hotbed of activity a couple of times while we were here. We're here a couple of times a year, Thanksgiving for one, and then sometimes we come in the spring as well. We have a family member that has a house here, and she is in the equine industry. I guess that's the right word for it, but she rides like Olympic style, horse. She's not a hunter jumper. She is the trying to think of the word. It's like horse ballet. The word has slipped my mind.
Sorry, I'm not the one to save you on this one.
Anyway, this is the center of that universe.
Wow.
And so that's why she lives here. The stables are just a mile or so away, and she rides every day. She's trained by an Olympic rider. She is not an Olympic athlete, but she's probably accomplished all you can be as a civilian, not being on the Olympic team. So she would be humble and decry a lot of that, but that is the truth. She's very, very well trained, and she does a very good job. I wish I could think of the name of the sport, but it just escapes me. So,
well, if it comes to you, just throw it in there. Well, man, I am stoked to have this conversation with you. Really pleased that you're able to take a few minutes out of your day today to sit down with us. Really, really appreciate that. If we could, for those not aware of who you are, haven't caught on to your guys' podcast, shame on them, first of all. But if you could, from a high level, let us know who you are and what you do in the industry today, and then we'll kind of dive in from that point.
Sure. Well, before I do that, I want to thank you because you do the same thing that we do. You know, we're here to educate and to advise people who have made the decision to get into this industry. You know, we don't try to bring people in. We don't recruit people to the industry. We probably run more off than we recruit. But the ones who decide to stay, we help them with decisions that many of them overlook, thinking they're not important, and they turn out to at the end of the day, they wish they had thought about those things. But let me start back over again. I started my first business in 1977. So I've been in business, well over 40 years, closer to 50 years, all different kinds of businesses. I am a 30 plus year professional photographer.
Wow.
That's been the business that I did the longest. But along the way, my mother was in dry cleaning. So I helped my parents open a dry cleaning business, and which led to their retirement. Well, my mom has passed away, but actually my dad has too, but they both were able to retire as a result of their dry cleaning business, where neither one of them had a retirement in their, in their work. So it allowed them to do something late in life that I wanted to help them do. And so, so I've had a lot of experience in business. And so after the invention of this device right here in, I think it was 2007, it had a big impact on professional photographers because this replaced me basically, or to most people. And I found myself, having to make some decisions. And one of them was that I was no longer going to be able to make a living as a professional photographer. The appreciation of the craft, appreciation of the product, the do-it-yourself mentality that came along with Home Depot kind of made that cottage industry not existent anymore, because people could take their own photos and videos and whatnot. The software is in there to improve it well enough that people, it was good enough. It was good
Right.
enough that they didn't want to pay somebody else for professional work, And so I saw that handwriting on the wall, and I decided to sell, which I did that about 1 year too late, because I had a lot of money invested in equipment, and it devalued a lot the last year I had it. But nonetheless, I did sell out. And so kind of along the same time, my parents decided to sell their dry cleaning business. And so I found myself without a job, if you will. I didn't really have a job, but I mean, I woke up in the morning with nothing to do for the first time in my life. And because I didn't have photography to do anymore, and my parents had sold the dry cleaning business. And so I was just stumbling around trying to find the next thing. And I tell this story because it's kind of funny. We have a favorite pizza restaurant in Lexington. I'm from Central Kentucky, by the way.
Okay.
That explains my lack of my lack of vocabulary right now, but enunciation is the word I'm looking for, and my accent. But we were sitting there at our pizza place. I grabbed one of those jobs magazines. They're always there. I'm looking through it, and every page is a truck driver job. And I'm thinking to myself, I've got nothing else to do right now in my life. At that time, I was 55 years old, and I had always thought that maybe at some point in my life I would buy an RV and we would travel the country. And I thought, well, this would be a good way to sort of do that and make some money in the meantime.
Yeah.
And see how that life is. And so I found a CDL school within 100 miles of my home. So I went up there, and being the OCD person I am, I checked everything out and, decided to give it a shot. So I wrote the check, and I went to CDL school, and did very well there. As a matter of fact, the day that we quote graduated, I had 12 offers to be hired.
Wow.
And so I went through, and I basically couldn't decide on the literature, but I made my decision based on the impression that the representative from that company made on me.
Okay.
And there was a very, very sharp individual. She was actually female, but very, very executive type female. And I was impressed by her. And so I decided to go pursue that. I'm not going to say the name of the company because I didn't end up going with them. I don't want to give them any kind of negative press. But I got to their orientation, which was down in Coleman, Alabama. That might give it away. But their headquarters are not there. The headquarters are way, way up north. But that's where the nearest orientation was. And I was not impressed with that experience whatsoever. It was in a gravel parking lot with a trailer. So that didn't impress me. And then just from that day forward, nothing about the place impressed me. So I finally decided that I was not going to do this. So I said, look, I'm out, and so they said, well, will you take this other guy to the bus stop on your way home? And I said, yeah, I will. So they had a guy they were flushing out that I took care of him for them. But I went back through the literature, and I found a company called Transport America. I'm going to call their name because I feel like I got a huge, huge good start by that company, knowing nothing about. I mean, I've never even sat in a truck before. I went to CDL school. No one in my family was a driver. I knew nothing. The only thing that connected me with trucking at all is the name of my son. His initials are CDL, and so that's the only connection I had to trucking it altogether. And side note, he is in the logistics. He's not in trucking, but he is in the logistics business. You all are not going to like his company because his company is probably the biggest lumper company in the country, Capstone Logistics. My son is executive vice president of Capstone Logistics.
Wow. All right.
So your audience now hates me because they have to deal with my son's employees. But anyway, it is what it is. So that's my cross to bear. But anyway, getting back to the story, Transport America had I guess you would call it a remote location or a drop yard near my house. Matter of fact, it was very close to the CDL school I went to. And so they were going to let me commute from my home, park my POV there, get in the truck and drive. And I was going to be based at that drop lot. And that worked for me because I still had a few things in the calendar that I needed to still deal with from the photography world. So I needed to be able to get back home when I needed to take care of those things. Because when you book somebody's wedding a year out, they expect you to be there,
Fair
So I
enough.
had a little bit of a backlog there I had to work through. It took me about a year to get everything flushed out. Well, during that time, I could commute from my house in Lexington, Nicholasville, to Southern Alabama to this drop lot, leave my vehicle there, jump in my truck there, go do my thing, and then come back. And basically that was my home, if you will. So it worked out very well. And I'm a big fan of Transport America. They making the decision to leave there was a difficult one. And we'll talk about that in a minute, but they treated me very well, as a brand new rookie, inexperienced driver. One of the things I really dreaded was that 30 days of having to ride with a trainer. I didn't like the idea of having to live with another guy for 30 days, in a very small space. And so I dreaded that. But this guy turned out to be wonderful. Turns out he was the trainer of the trainers. So
Right.
Great personality. We got to be very good friends. That turned out to be a positive experience. And that helped a lot as well. But anyway, Transport America, I ended up doing a lot of FedEx work for them. I was a mature individual, I was 55 years old, so I wasn't a kid. So my dispatcher did not have to be my mother, I didn't need another mother. I just needed, a dispatcher. So I worked myself up, I was very successful at Transport America with service, delivery on time and all that sort of things, the metrics that they measure. And so I worked myself up to a position where there was a guy who had been there for years and had a heart attack and was going to have to leave the industry. So they had an opening that was very cherished. And so they were very particular about who they were going to offer it to. So my dispatcher calls me. And I really like my dispatcher there as well. And she said, look, I need you to come to the office. There's something that's open that I think you should be interested in. So I go to the office and sit down in her office and talk to her, and she tells me about it. And I'm like, look, I appreciate it, but I'm not interested, because I did not think that I wanted to do something that was the same thing every day. I liked the variety. I liked, the idea of being in a different place every day and having different challenges. I liked that idea. I thought I did. And so she said, look, you need to really think about this, because this is a very highly sought after position. And, you're going to make good money doing it, and you're going to be treated very well. But I was treated well anyway. I was making pretty good money anyway. And I said, look, I'm going to do this for you. I don't think I'm interested, but out of respect for you, I'm going to give it a 30-day. Here's my deal. Here's the contingencies. I do it for 30 days. When I decide to not do it again, I get reversed back exactly where I am right now with no loss of seniority, nothing. So she calls the vice president in and tells him that. And he goes, well, write it up. So they typed it up. I signed it. And so I started doing this thing on a 30-day trial, knowing that I could come back to where I was with no effect whatsoever on my trajectory, my position. So I'm into it for about a week, and I call her up. I said, look, why don't you tear that little thing up? I'm staying here. She laughed. Because the thing that I hated most about my job was the not knowing, going to someplace different that you've never been to. And I always drove at night. So you had to do this stuff at night when it's dark. Parking was always, you're always worried about where you're going to park and all that sort of. This took away all of these anxieties that I had, because I got to see the same people every day. They knew me. They expected me. It just turned out to be exactly what I needed. I cherished that. So I built up a pretty significant. They gave me a route, and I could handle it, no problem. I said, how about something else? Because I had the weekend open. I mean, I was Monday through Friday. I was Monday through Thursday actually on this route, and I said, look, let me have another one. So they said, well, I don't think you can do this one, but we'll let you try this one. So they gave me the Indianapolis to basically Youngstown, Ohio, which had turned that was a round trip. You had to leave 5 o'clock Friday and be back Saturday morning at 7 o'clock. So I did it. Also, all this was in the LD, by the way. I was the first truck at Transport America not even mentioning the fact that I was an owner operator, to have an ELD. And so a lot of people were asking about that. But, again, I saw the handwriting on the wall. This is going to be the future of trucking.
Yeah.
Why not just embrace it and learn how to work with it as opposed to kicking it down so I just said, let me have it, and so I learned basically with the ELD. So it never was a challenge for me. Anyway, I did all this. I did it with an ELD, did it legally. Now I had the luxury of it being an AOBRD, if y'all know what that is. It was a predecessor to the ELD. It was the same thing, but it wasn't connected. It wasn't physically connected to the truck. So the truck at a certain mile per hour didn't kick the thing on the drive line. You had to put it on the drive line. So there were some advantages I had. For example, I could pull up on an exit ramp. I could get off duty, and I would stay off duty until I put myself back on duty. So I could get off the exit ramp at the stoplight. I could get off duty. I could go do my thing, fuel up what I'm going to do, come back on the road and go on duty. I wouldn't lose any of that time that I was off, was off the road. So
Gotcha. Yeah.
now that's not legal, but I'm admitting that's what I did. Okay.
Right.
But I made it work. Safety always wondered why I used a lot of off-duty time, but they never told me not to do it. They never questioned it. I never had a problem. But anyway, I built up this FedEx business. It was a very, very good business. And then I started seeing the opportunity. I'm like, look, I'm doing very, very well doing this. I mean, if I'm doing so well, other people would want to do this too. And I thought, well, this will be something that I'll have to hire a secretary just to take the applications. Okay. Well, it turned out just the opposite. Nobody wanted to do what I did because it was work. This worked because I kept the left door closed.
Yeah.
I stayed focused on the job at hand. I didn't get distracted by stopping, and which is why the ELD worked for me. But I tried several people to do this, and no one would ever do it. It was just I even was in a car accident, not in my truck. I was at home and got T-boned in an intersection and broke my left shoulder. So I had to hire an experienced driver to cover my route for a few weeks because it was a dedicated route. I didn't want to lose it.
Right.
So I paid an experienced driver to do it. He hated it. This was a 20, 30-year experienced driver, he hated it because it would, you could not screw off. You had to stay, you had to stay in the zone. It just was not attractive for most truck drivers. Most truck drivers don't like to be followed. They don't like to be accountable to anybody, to be here at a certain time, I'm used to that because, when you own your business, you're accountable to your customers. So to me, it wasn't a big thing. So anyway, I did eventually get 4 other trucks at Transport America in my fleet. And so I had a total of 5 FedEx routes in my fleet. And it was great until, and again, I'm not political here, but during the Obama administration, they changed the hours of service to where you couldn't have, you had to have, trying to think what it is. The reset had to be over 2 successive nights. It had to be between the hours of 1 a.m. and 5 a.m. had to be in there. And so, it made it to where we could not do what I do. So I drove all night, every night, So it cost me about $1,300 a truck to could not do these routes anymore. And so that wasn't going to work for me, And so I started moving the trucks to different places. Along the way, I met Kevin Rutherford. You may know that name. He used to be a Sirius XM radio host. And but anyway, he had a kind of a best practices seminar every year in Kansas City for about a week. And I attended that several years and learned. I knew, listen, I knew nothing about trucking. I can't tell you how little I knew, okay? Nothing. I knew business, but I did not know trucking. So everything that I needed to know about trucking, there was no library you could go to and get a book about how to be a trucker,
Right.
So I used Kevin. He had a call-in show at midnight. Well, I was driving every night at midnight, so it was perfect for me. So people would call in with these questions. Well, I got to where I could answer the questions myself, and it would be the exact same thing that Kevin would say. So I learned the trucking industry through that medium, and going to his week-long seminars, I got to meet people from all over the industry and different carriers. There were lots of people from, say, Landstar, Mercer, different groups were there, and so I got to meet those people. And so I knew that Landstar was a place that I would probably be attracted to. So when this thing didn't work out anymore at Transport America, I started putting trucks at different places. I put one truck at Landstar, one at UPS Freight, one at one of the moving companies. I can't remember which one now, maybe North America Van Line, Atlas Van Lines maybe. But I moved them around to try to see where the best place would be. Well, the best place was Landstar, no question about it. And I was doing the dispatching, driving all night now, and this guy's not driving all night. I was doing the dispatching, and that truck was still making more money than the rest of them put together. So I said, you know what? That's what we're going to do. So I ended up resigning, and I took my truck to Landstar along with this other truck I had. So now I was dispatching 2 trucks. So I eventually got all 4 of the trucks there over the next few months. And so we did, I was a Landstar person, and it worked for me because I could run my business. I didn't need anybody to tell me how to run business. I just needed a load board,
Yeah.
And so, and at Landstar, they had the flexibility. I mean, my business wouldn't work at some carriers because they wouldn't allow me to do what I do. I stack loads, and I do some things that a lot of carriers would not let you do. But it's just a level playing field, open, free market environment, and you make it or you don't. Here it is, and if you make it, great. If you don't make it, don't. And that's why a lot of people don't like Landstars, because it's not like any other company in that you're not there as an employee, you're there as a business partner.
Right.
And if you know how to run business, you can go over there and they'll let you run your business, but they're not going to tell you how to run your business. And so I had the freedom to do the things I wanted to do, and it worked. And so I was very successful there with those 4 trucks. Well, then I started thinking about, why are all these people failing? Because everywhere you look, people are buying trucks and losing them after a few days, few months. And so I started thinking about that. And so the wheel started turning. I started thinking about, well, I can see why. I recognize why these people are failing. And so I thought, well, why don't I just address that? So I came up with this idea that I would have a educational program. I'm sorry, there's a little background noise right now, but
you're okay.
The mic will get it out. But I thought, I can come up with a program to teach business to these people, because that's why they're failing. They're not failing because they can't hit the dock or shift gears. They're failing because they don't understand business. They don't think that buying fuel and saving a penny today is important. They don't think that fuel mileage is important. A lot of guys laugh about that, but that's the difference. Especially right now. Now remember, I started this I bought my truck in 2009. Okay. I don't have to tell you what the economy was in 08 and 09. Fuel was $5 a gallon back then as well. So I learned to do this in probably one of the worst economies we've ever had. So my program worked for me. I knew it would work for other people. Well, lo and behold, one night, late at night, I was on Facebook, and there's these Landstar Facebook specific groups. And there was this guy that was kind of telling his story. He was at Landstar, he failed. He was now sitting on a forklift in a warehouse, basically crying about losing his truck and not being Landstar anymore and being miserable. But he said some things that I never heard from number one, a man, number 2, a truck driver. And it was these words: it was my fault. It wasn't the White House. It wasn't the rates. It wasn't Landstar. It was my fault. I never ever heard anybody say that before. And that grabbed my attention. And so I reached out to him, of course, sort of about 1 million other Landstar, because people at Landstar, they have extra trucks. They're dying to get people to drive the trucks. And so, but he responded to me. We met and talked. And I said, look, his name is Chris, by the way. You interviewed him. Chris was my proof of concept. Besides me, he's the first person, not the only, the first person that I used this program on, and literally turned his life around. But I said, look, Chris, we're going to meet. We found a place to meet that was halfway between where we lived. I said, but if you come without your wife, we're not meeting. And because I knew why he failed, and I knew what it was going to take to make him not fail. And I knew that without her being on board, it would never happen.
Sure.
So he had a hard time convincing her to come, but he did convince her to come. And so it turned out that he recognized my skills, recognized that I wasn't a typical truck driver, and that I knew what I was doing. And so he decided to come on with me. So Chris was he was great at everything except saving money. Chris loves to burn through money. Okay. So after he came to me and I taught him all the things that I do, on the business side, most of it in how to save money, not how to make more money. He could do that very well. He could make the hell out of money. He just couldn't keep any of it. Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So once we got that under control, I mean, he was. I mean, the first year he worked for me was like less than a year. It was like 9 months. He made over $100,000 as a driver. Okay, in less than 9 months. I'm talking about 2 in his pocket. Okay.
Right.
I mean, it was all I could do to keep going to the bank every week. He was making so much money. So he proved to me that this not only did my business program work, but that my education program also would work.
Mm.
And so, I just started talking. I started using the word "we" when I talked to him, and eventually he kind of took the hint. And so we built this program that it exists today, Blue Ribbon Logistics, together. I own it, but Chris has been, very, very. Again, I'm losing my words I want to use, but he was very important in its growth and its design of it, and the fact that he was living proof that it worked. He was my example. So we set out to put this into place for other people. So we both came up with the idea that we would put together. I already had 3 or 4 trucks, so we would put together a class, if you will, and it turns out now it's an 18-month apprenticeship. And for people that do not own their own truck, they can come and drive one of our trucks. And so for 18 months, we take them through the entire. I mean, they do everything that an owner operator is going to do. They help with all the decision making. Any problems that come up, they help with solving it. So they get, excuse me, they get a inside look of how the sausage is made for 18 months. And, they get to see all the things that, the stuff that's not fun about driving, and we thought, we even kid ourselves, look, we're not teaching a driving school. People that come to Landstar have to already be pretty good drivers because they only take about 2 or 3 out of 100. And we thought, well, all we got to do is teach business. Well, it turns out that that wasn't true. Everybody who came to us, none of them could read a map. Most of them couldn't do math. And so we ended up having to, break this down to the very basics. We had to teach map reading, we had to teach arithmetic, we had to teach, everything. It's just, that's why it's 18 months, is because we have to sort of take away what the government schools have stuck in your head and what these big corporations have stuck in your head. We have to take that out and then start over again with nothing. And it just takes a while. It's kind of like boot camp, I compare us a lot. I was never one, but I was a big fan of the Marine Corps. My best friend was in the Marine Corps. And so I've always been a big fan of that elite operation. And I kind of think that we are sort of that in trucking because we have a very, very difficult boot camp. We are very, 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 very difficult, particularly about who we bring in. And we have very elite people. People that come here and are successful are very elite, even in today's rate environment. We have guys that are making really good money, even with rates as they are. Yeah. But we have to take away a lot of the things that the industry has put in their head. I used to call it the liar circle, the little thing at Petro. You have to sort of get people to close their mind to that and open their mind. I call my program Reset Your Mindset.
Okay.
Sure. We have to make you understand that the things that you think right now are not important are what is important. The things that you think are important are not. So we have to totally, and we actually have ordered a whole box of these little compact mirrors. They got our logo on the back of them. You open them up and you see yourself. Well, that's who who we're training. Okay.
Yeah, I love
That's
that.
who needs to change before you're going to be successful, is that person in that little mirror right there.
Right.
So we get them thinking about themselves, because it's so easy in this industry for people to blame somebody else. Oh, it's the brokers. And you read that every day. It's the brokers, why do we need brokers? So, and if I could get the brokers' money, then I could be successful. Well, you don't need the broker's money. You can be successful on your own. So teaching self-sufficiency, teaching that it didn't matter who won the election, is not going to change whether you're successful or failure in business. If it did, you've got a bigger problem than you think. So teaching this and convincing people that they are in control if they will just take control is kind of what we do here. And we're very good at it. I have to say, our program is very, very, very successful. Now, it's not easy
Sure.
because, number one, the length, and number two, we do not accept bullshit. We hold ourselves accountable to these people. Everybody has to face the music. Okay, if you make a mistake, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to analyze that. We're going to see what were the other options. The words my GPS said are the three words that will get your ass kicked here bigger than anything else in the world, okay? Because we do not give authority to innate objects like that. The GPS is a great tool, but it's not a trip planning tool.
Yeah.
And so, but getting people to change the way they think, that's what we do here. And understand this, and most people, well, two things. Number one, they don't understand that when they buy a truck, they've started a business. It's amazing how many people don't think that that's the case. And number two, they don't understand that if you start a business, you're in sales. Because everybody goes, oh, I hate sales. Well, then don't go in business, because every morning you wake up, you're in sales when you're in business.
Yep.
And so, and understand that you are the one that's going to make it work. You, no one else. So, and they've been employees all their life, and so they're used to being an employee. One of the biggest reasons that people don't like Landstar is because they come to Landstar and find out that Landstar does not have benefits. Why isn't Landstar going to do this? Why isn't Landstar? Landstar is Landstar. You can come here and you can work with it like we have and be very successful, or you can struggle because you're not self-sufficient enough to be at Landstar.
Yeah.
I don't work for Landstar. Matter of fact, they probably would not want me to work for them because I run off more people than I bring. I will tell you this, and most people should not come to Landstar. Most truck drivers do not have any business being at Landstar because they're not self-sufficient. They need somebody to solve their problems for them, and they're not going to get that at Landstar.
Yeah.
So, but we teach how to survive there, how to navigate there, the freedom that comes with, the load board is there. I can book one load or I can book 50 loads. Doesn't matter. And I can do that for one truck, or I can do for 13 or 14, which we normally have. So it allows me to do what I do. I'm an anomaly here, but so is every fleet owner at Landstar. There's no such thing as a fleet owner at Landstar. Every Landstar is a one truck, one driver operation. Every time I call them, I have to explain who I am and what I do. Because their question is, what's your truck number? I'm going, well, I have 13 of them. Which one you want? And so we have to go through this little game, because I'm dealing with a cubicle monster, as opposed, to someone with critical thinking abilities. But that's what we do. And so we have two facets. We call it the master class. That's the 14 or the 18-month apprenticeship. And that's for people who don't own a truck, haven't bought a truck yet. We've caught them before they've made the big mistake of buying the wrong truck or buying too much truck. Because I got news for you guys, okay? Your customer could not care less how new your truck is, what brand it is, and what it looked like. They see the inside of the trailer, and that's it. As long as you can get from point A to point B safely and legally, it doesn't matter. So if you're going to go spend $155,000 for a truck, or I can go spend $5,000 for a truck and pull the same freight, which one of us is going to make the most money? So now I agree. It's not going to be as nice, it's not going to be as pretty, not going to be as comfortable, but what are you in business to be? So refocusing the idea that you don't have to have a new $200,000 truck to be in business. You don't. There are plenty of trucks out there that are $10,000, $15,000 that are very, very usable, safe, reliable, can be cleaned up, shined up, and you don't have to go in debt up to your neck to get in this business, and because your customer is who you're serving, not you, and your customer could care less.
Right.
Now, that's the other thing we find. That most people in the trucking industry don't even know who their customer is, which is why they hate brokers, because they don't understand that brokers are their customer. If they had a relationship and were friends with brokers, they wouldn't have the problems that they have with brokers. So we teach a very, very, very controversial subject, and that is that, hey, serve your customer. Guess who comes last in this whole logistics chain? You. And if you expect to be first, you shouldn't be in this business. Go do something else. Okay, go be a lawyer or do something else. In this business, the truck driver is last. The truck owner's last, not even the driver. The driver actually gets paid. The owner might not. So understanding your role in the logistics chain, understanding how to be successful by making yourself valuable by serving someone. You know, if we get calls every day wanting us to send one of our trucks to get a load because they know that our drivers are going to communicate, they're going to be on time, all the things that are expected of them are going to happen here. Okay.
No.
And so, you know, now we don't always have a truck in their area, but that doesn't keep them from calling, you know. But we teach people how to build, you hear this term all the time, build relationships. And people go, well, I've bought donuts. I've done all the things I'm supposed to do. So I changed that to build friendships. Okay. You can't buy a friendship.
Yeah.
Okay. You know, mutual trust, mutual respect. You build it. It takes a long time to build it. It's easy to lose it, but it takes a long time to build it. But that's what gets you in this market successful, because now you're not dealing with a load board. You're not dealing with a broker. I mean, there are bad brokers. I admit that, but all of them are not. There are more bad drivers than there are bad brokers. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
But just finding somebody to serve. You know, business is about solving problems. Every business. I don't care what business you're in. If you don't solve a problem for somebody, they're not going to pay you for helping them. You know, I was a wedding photographer for 30 years. Okay. Their problem was they wanted pictures of this wedding and they didn't want excuses. So you had to show up. You had to get the job done. I don't care if the groom was on, because the groom didn't show up. You still got to get the job done if you want to get paid. So I'm used to serving a customer, you know, and most people think the bride is your customer. Bride's mother is your customer. She's who's paying you.
Yeah.
So you take care of bride's mom, you're in good shape. Okay. So understand who your customer is, being willing to have a attitude of service. I'm not saying be a slave. I'm just saying there's a difference between being a slave and being a servant. But if you'll be a servant and you will recognize your customer and give value to that customer so that they want you, then you're not arguing over money anymore. You know, now you're arguing over your availability. And so that's what we teach. In a nutshell, that's what we teach. I knew that going in. I was successful this was, to me, is the easiest business I've ever been in, because I can back up to a dock, hit a button, and I'm paid. I don't have to chase people. There's no a wake of little details I got to deal with. All I got to do is do the job, and I'm done. I can put the windows up and turn the radio on and kind of zen. I don't have to look. You don't have to advertise. You don't have to, you don't. I mean, it's such an easy business to start. You know, you don't have to deal with inventory and get. I mean, it's remarkable how easy it is to be successful in this business. But you're not going to be that way unless you understand who your customer is and give that customer value by solving their problems. And if they want you to download a tracking map to do that, that's part of it. I mean, I see a lot of these people complaining on social media all the time. Oh, that damn broker want me to download something on my phone. It's my phone. No, it's not. When you went into business, that became a business phone. Okay, you're probably writing it off as a business expense. It's not your phone. So reset your mindset. Okay, reset your mindset. If you'll reset your mindset, you will be successful. This is an easy business to be successful in. I'm not saying truck driving is easy. It's not. But the industry of truck driving, the business of truck driving, and owning a truck and making money is not difficult. It's not complicated at all. So that's what we teach. Now, if you already own your own truck and you're already in business, we have a consulting side. Now, we built this thing up to where now Chris is basically in charge of the apprenticeship. That's his baby. He's been the biggest success of it. He's helped build it. He enjoys that side of it. He likes being a drill sergeant. So that's our boot camp. People that are already own a truck and already in business, that comes to me. I'm doing the mentoring in a different, same content. Everything's the same, but just a little different approach, because you've already made that decision to buy the truck. Now
Yeah.
we've got to deal with that, whatever, good, bad, or indifferent. We got to work with that. You're already in business. You probably don't have you probably don't know your numbers or don't have access to your numbers. So one of the first things I do is I'm a bookkeeper. I am going to probably either help you with your books or do your books for you. And so we're going to get a grip on your numbers so that we know how to analyze your business and where the problem areas are. Is it revenue or is it expense? Is it fuel mileage? I mean, whatever it is, we're going to look at it and identify where the work needs to be done. We're going to concentrate on that. So I'm going to consult. Now, listen, you're at this point in time, you're not my employee. You're paying me to give you advice. You can take it or not.
Right.
But I do this online. Matter of fact, I've got a brand new platform. I'm going to say it here. I don't even think you can get there yet. But if y'all have heard of Alex Hermosi and the School, SKOOL platform, that's where I'm going to be doing this new mentoring program. It's going to be a community. You'll be able to join a community. I think we're actually going to have a free community. And then the more of me you want, the more of me you pay for on a monthly basis.
Nice.
And so you can either have me in your ear, or I can be doing your accounting, or whatever level you want to do. And you can decide. You can try for free. And the other thing you mentioned, our podcast, Blue Ribbon Logistics or Blue Ribbon Podcast. We have 226 episodes archived on YouTube. Everything that we know and do is out there. We've said it.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's gold.
Now it might be hard to put it together because it's over 200 some odd episodes, but that's what this thing will do. I will restate say those things, but they'll now be in the right order. For those of you who have attended my live event that we usually hold once a year, it is patterned after that. As a matter of fact, I use the slide pack from the live event to do the free group lessons. They're broken down into little small things. Now, like I say, you might not even be able to get there yet, but you will be able to get there. If you're in our email, you're going to get an email from me. If you're not, just Larry at blueribbonlogistics.com, Larry at blueribbonlogistics.com. And I will put you on the email list to make sure you know. But it will be in this way. We'll record the information and it'll be there forever. Yeah. And you can attend it live, or you can attend it whenever you get parked, or whatever. And then you can look at it. The information will be free. If you want me to help you apply it, there will be different levels of that you can join. And it's not expensive. I think we're starting at $47. It's not like super expensive. We're not selling we don't have cassettes. We're not selling a program. The information is free. It's already out there. I'm going to reorganize it and put it out there again in this community. But if you want me to help you, then there's different levels that you can, attain.
But from a business perspective,
that's what we do.
How it's going to make you money. That's a hell of a deal.
Well, I think obviously the product is worth money, and more important than that, you being my customer, me helping you solve your problems. That's what business is about. I'm going to teach you business by making you my customer. So, but anyway, that's what I'm getting ready to launch as we speak. But our website, blueribbonlogistics.com, you can go there. All of our information's there. And if you haven't bought a truck yet, and you're thinking about getting in this industry, reach out to us. There's a submission there you can submit, and it will come to my desk and Chris's desk. Chris will send you a calendar. You can go on and choose an interview time. It's via Zoom. It's for an hour or two. But we're on Eastern time. So remember to show up at the right time. Like me, Alex. So
you're good. You're good.
But this is what we do. We help people. If you've already made the decision to get in the business, own a truck, that decision's made. We'll talk about it. We'll course correct if we need to. But I need to warn you. I've been in business since 1977. I made a living at one time revamping General Motors dealerships. Okay. And I have found over the years that the majority of the issues are HR related. That means if you are the owner of your company, you are the person I'm talking about. Yeah. So if you're going to get your feelings hurt and get butt hurt, if I tell you that you made a bad decision, you're not going to like dealing with this. Okay. But if you're open, honest, and understand that we're grown adults here and we're here to make you successful, there's changes that you probably are going to have to make that you may or may not like. But unfortunately, that's going to be the determination whether you stay in business or not. Just because you buy a truck does not guarantee your success. It's getting your CDL doesn't guarantee you success. It's a ticket to the ride, but you still have to survive the ride and come out on the other end with money in your hand. In a nutshell, that's what we do, Alex. So it may have been too long for you, but that's
that's been fantastic. It's like what you started this entire thing out with, talking about that aspect of education and, hearing your journey, going through the different careers, hitting trucking, doing these week-long, who is the guy? You said, Kevin
Rutherford.
Rutherford. Yeah. Hitting that aspect of mentorship that's impacting your journey. But then now seeing where that's come, where you've been able to bring that mentorship to Chris, and now you guys have teamed up and you're bringing that mentorship to these other drivers and impacting, really honestly, the industry. So many of these guys, I can say from my experience, we see a lot of these drivers come out of, and it depends the background and the CDL school, et cetera. But, a lot of these will just kind of get churned through. And by the time the guy hits the truck, he's not prepared. He'll tell you, hey, I'm not comfortable to go out.
We see that a lot,
giving is huge.
Yeah, we see that a lot. But there again, even if they taught people how to drive the truck 100%, they still don't touch on the business part of it.
Side,
I don't think I look back in my CDL experience, I don't think anybody there was qualified to teach that to begin with. But understanding that business is, I don't care if you're in the bubble gum business, it doesn't matter. Business is business. You've got to control cost. You've got to, increase revenue, and there are ways to do that. And it's not as easy as you think, because most drivers go, well, if I want to make more, I'll just take another load. Well, that doesn't always work, because loads cost money.
Yeah.
Fuel costs money. Depreciate. That's not always the easy answer. Nor is the answer, I'll just drive as hard as I can all day long. That's not the answer either. So, some of the things are counterintuitive. But that's where knowing the numbers, understanding the numbers, looking at the numbers, knowing how to access the numbers. Unfortunately, business is a numbers game.
Yeah.
Right now I'm hearing people go, I'm not a numbers guy. I'm hearing people say that right now to themselves. Well, if you're in business, you need to be a numbers guy, because that's what keeps you in business.
Yeah.
The reality of it, Alex, is that everybody does not need to be in business. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people that need to be employees. That's just where they fit. If you don't like the things I'm talking about, then go get a job. There's plenty of jobs, and really, my God, Walmart's paying $100,000 to start. Go be a company driver, and then you don't have to worry about this. But if you're going to buy a truck and operate a truck, don't get on Facebook and bitch about the market when you are not the one that's doing the things that you could be doing right now. You have the control of rates are not one of them, but you have control over about everything else. We have no problem being profitable in today's market. We have trucks that are highly profitable, especially if you're in the platform.
You said about that. That's huge.
If you're in platform, you're not making money right now. It's you, okay? It's you.
Yeah.
But even our vans are dry. Now, in my program online, I'm going to have some of our graduates. We have some great people that are great. Not only were they great at the program, but they're just good people, and they want to help. So I'm going to have, it's not going to be just me. I'm going to have other people come in and talk about things that they, have mastered. We got a couple people that are just phenomenal at booking loads, and the strategy behind that, when to take a load, when to pass on it, these kinds of things. So,
yeah.
But anyway, this is not a commercial about that, but that's what we're going to do. So.
No, I really admire what you guys are doing. Like I said, drivers come into this industry and get churned out so quick, they don't know what they're doing. And then in most cases, as they're working as a company driver, no matter if they have those ambitions to be their own business at some point, grow a fleet, et cetera, those companies aren't in the business of making companies, right? They're in the business of having employees, and that's really all they're concerned about. And I think that's the beautiful thing.
they don't even want you to critically think. They want you
Right.
to just do what the Qualcomm says to do.
Exactly.
We got somebody in the program, by the way, great guy. I mean, he has been so successful. Owns his own truck right now as a Landstar BCO. When he came to us, he told us a story. He was driving for one of the big fleets. And he actually was a senior trainer at the big fleet. This guy was 20 years old, 21 years old, okay? He was given a load, and with the load, they give you the routing, okay? So he found that there was a accident or something that was going to cause the route that they gave him not to get him there on time. So he made the decision to create his own route. Well, not only they fined him $50 for doing that, even though he wouldn't have been on time had he followed their instructions. He took the critical thinking and did the right thing, and they punished him, penalized him for it, because you're not allowed to not follow the directions. So that's what they're creating, just a group of robots.
Yeah.
I mean, look, the big fleets are not your competition, okay? The big fleets are less than 15% of the trucks out on the road. So, you have an advantage over them because you can use critical thinking. They're not allowed to. So there's a perfect example of how you can compete with the big fleets in service, reliability. Right. I mean, he solved this customer's problem. The big fleet wouldn't punish him for doing it. So, we don't have people that come here that have this ability. They think they don't have the authority, to do it.
Mm.
I can do that. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a huge change that it's not teaching numbers and teaching business. It's teaching people how to think on their own again. Everybody graduates from the government school, and then they go on and they're trained at these daggone fleets, and it's indoctrination. It's not education. What we do is we remove indoctrination and replace it with education. That's what we do.
Love that. Well, Larry, we have covered a ton today. Some really, really gold stuff here that I think is going to just be a huge asset to so many. And any of you out there listening to this that, take value in this, you need to go check out their podcast. You need to check out their program because these guys know the industry. Larry, you're the real deal, man, for sure.
Thank you, sir.
If we can leave our listeners with one thing, somebody getting in the industry today that has ambitions to be a company owner, grow a fleet down the road, what is some advice that you can give to them right off the bat, starting their career out?
Well, number one is be careful who you listen to. There's a question that I teach people to ask that turns out to be kind of an oddity, but when someone tells you something, ask the question why, and then shut up and listen, because the next thing they're going to tell you is whether they know what the hell they're talking about or not. Yeah. So find someone who the question why is answered suitably to you that makes you have confidence in what they are telling you. And then tune everybody else out. Regardless of what you hear, there is money to be made in trucking. It is not easy. Any business, these people get on Facebook and talk about how you can open up a business and it's so easy to run. I mean, business is great, but it's not easy. You'll work harder than you've ever worked, and there's no such thing as family work balance. That does not exist. If you have to be home every weekend for your family, you're not going to make it in business, because for the first 3 to 5 years, that business is the baby. It has to be fed. Yep. And if you ignore it, it's going to die. And I maintain that you can do more for your family with that business than you could without it. So make that business your number one priority. And it will then spin off the things that you can do for your family that you never would have been able to do. I mean, look, I work from home. I get up and go nowhere every day. Now it took me many years to get here, but you can't start out in business and start at the top. You have to start out and do all the things you have to do to earn your way. You have to earn your place in business.
100%.
And if you're willing to do that, it can be done. Okay. It can be done. I mean, if you have a basic knowledge of numbers, and the biggest thing is problem solving. If you can help people solve problems, you'll be successful in business. But you have to understand that you're going to be the one that comes in last. Your comfort, your whatever is not, your customers could care less about. Okay, so if you're mad because your seat's not right, and you take that on your customer, you just did a horrible thing. Okay. So understand you got to reset your mindset, put your customer first, put yourself last, and you'll do fine.
100%. Man, you have shared some real knowledge today, and I truly appreciate that. Now, I know you shared a little bit throughout, but I want to give you an opportunity here, again, at the end here, for anyone looking to get a hold of you, to check out your podcast, check out your business, etc. Shoot out some shameless plugs for us.
Okay, so the easiest way is blueribbonlogistics.com. That's the website. Now, the information on the website about mentoring and coaching is a little outdated because it doesn't cover this new school thing. This is brand new. I haven't even got it set up yet. I'm working with a guy at school that's helping me do all this. But you're going to be able to probably Google or search school soon, and then you can search my name and you'll find it. I don't know what we're going to call it yet. Probably reset your mindset, but who knows? So, blueribbonlogistics.com, that's home base. I'm at Larry at blueribbonlogistics.com. If you're interested in the mentorship, the apprenticeship, you can still email me, but Chris is Chris at blueribbonlogistics.com. Chris is the director of the apprenticeship. He's the drill sergeant. And then, there's a form there you can submit, and that comes to both of our desks simultaneously. And then you'll get an email from Chris to give you a chance to choose a time to set up a Zoom interview, just like this. And we will call you, and Chris and I both will be on the Zoom with you, asking questions to make sure that you understand what we do. And above all, making sure that you're a fit for the program. Because, listen, some people just are not a fit. If you're not coachable, if you can't be coached without, crying and, run home to mama, you're not going to like us, okay? We call the truth, and we call bullshit, and we don't mix the two together. So some people really like that. Some people don't like it. Some people thought they were going to like it until they found out. Then they found out they didn't like it. So, the thing about it is we have a proven track record.
Yeah.
And we've actually got people we have a driver advisory board. When you come on, if you think that I'm too intimidating or Chris's foot's too big, we've got a group that you can join with all the other drivers who want to help people that are in our program. And so they're not management. They're there volunteering their time to help you so you don't have to ask me and get your head bit off, So, we do everything we can to help you make it, but we're not going to make it easy for you because it's business. And what you do here, our goal is this. You come here and you do for us, and we teach you all the muscle memory. We use that movie, Karate Kid, wax on, wax off. We use that as our teaching method. You think you're learning karate, but you're painting the floor. Okay.
Yeah.
So here you're going to do all the things that you're going to do, but you're going to do them because we said this is how we do it. And there's, by the way, there's no negotiation there. Okay. You are going to email when you get to the shipper and when you leave the shipper. That's not, if you are not willing to do that, please don't come because you'll last about a day and then you'll be looking for something else to do. So we're very, very, very firm on because that's what's going to make you successful.
Yeah.
You might not understand it now, but you'll understand eventually. We had a guy, and I won't mention his name, but a great guy, is a veteran, come on the program, and he thought that our approach was a little, especially Chris is the, I'm kind of the chaplain. I kind of pick up the pieces and put my arm around you, but Chris is, there's no mercy from him, okay? But he at first he thought Chris was a little too, hard on him. But just the other day, he made a comment. He goes, "You know what? When I first came here, I thought you guys were a little tough." But he said, "I get it now." So it's kind of like when you graduate high school and your favorite teacher now was your hardest teacher.
Yeah.
We're not here to be your friends. We're here to make you successful, and you'll eventually call me back and thank me for what I did once you see that there's a reason why we do this. But you got to put yourself through it. Again, we've had guys on the podcast call us the Harvard of trucking. I don't know that I agree with that, but I do use the Marine Corps a lot. We are the Marine Corps of trucking. If you don't want to be the best, don't be here. Because we're only going to take the best, and we're only going to make you an elite business person.
Fantastic. Well, Larry, thank you so much for joining us today and letting us pick your brain on the knowledge
Sure.
throughout your career. So really, really appreciate that. We'll make sure to get all those links down below as well. So thank you again for all your time.
Well, Alex, thanks for what you do. I mean, you do a great service too. So I appreciate you letting me have this opportunity and anytime. Okay.
I appreciate it. Well,
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing where this school project goes,
All
and
right.
maybe we'll touch
When
back.
I get that up and running, if you want to, I can jump back on and we'll do a brief one
Let's
on
do
about
it.
how to do that. So
Sounds
appreciate that,
good.
Alex. Okay.
Well, thank you, Larry, and for everyone out there watching. Have a great day. Until next time, stay safe out there.